Hello. Today is a video about my 3 grams of magic mushroom experience, which was 4 years ago, and I will talk about the experience and also the 4 years of integration work that followed since then, and what my conclusions are, what I learned during the trip, and so forth. Last video I got a little bit into what happened, basically what you would have seen when you were a spectator during that trip. But what's important, of course, is what happens on the inside during such a trip, and I'm going to get into that now because I think it is valuable to share, because in my own experience I always got a lot out of other people's experience as well, especially or only the experience that was shared in the light of self-realization, of enlightenment work, and this kind of understanding, because when you have a magic mushroom trip you can have a lot of different experiences based on what you want the experience to be, or with what expectation you get in, and what your level of understanding is. So maybe some of you have a different understanding, have a similar understanding, and also had these kinds of experiences. So you might see some parallels and learn something from it. So basically, what happened is, or the first very strong feeling I got during this trip was a feeling of déjà vu. And it was so strong I could see through not only one déjà vu, I could see how this was already going on for eternity, for infinity. I was having this trip not for the first time, but for the infinite time, and this was the first really intense feeling I got, and it was hard and not easy to digest at the time. But of course, if you have any theoretical knowledge about non-duality and about what enlightenment is, then you will say, of course, yeah, that's just obvious. But not to someone who at that time hasn't heard about it. And the second strong feeling was that my life, which I could see in my memory, and also during the experience, I felt like I was dead, like I have died. I could see how my whole life is basically an illusion that is not living. When you just grow up normally, you live in the illusion of the ego, which is just an illusion that you actually exist. But if you're interested in truth, and yeah, you get to experience truth, and you will see that this is an illusion, and the illusion is you and me. So that was the second big realization I had, and I was actually surprised to have such deep insights, even though I did not really have a mental idea of these concepts in my mind before, and I did not really had any theoretical background. So it's interesting that these kinds of substances produce these experiences in people who are not biased by anything, or don't just get these experiences to re-experience what ideas they already have. So this understanding I gathered only in the 4 years after it, and yeah, this was basically the underlying feeling of the experience. But what the feeling actually was like is, in the beginning there was a great feeling of euphoria, of having understood so much, and just it felt really good, really good. I had to find ways to express this joy, and I did crazy things. I behaved like a baby, or I made weird sounds and weird postures and all this kind of strange stuff, because the energy was so intense and I didn't know how to express it or process it. And but then it spiraled into a direction, because you cannot control it, which I did not like as much, because because I felt trapped. I couldn't get out anymore. I was in this infinite loop of forgetting myself, of rediscovering myself, of just falling through infinity. Basically, what I did during a lot of the later stages of the trip, I saw things in my room, just random objects like my wallet or a water bottle, anything, and I was seeing them, but I couldn't understand them anymore. Because I could see through them to infinity, and I would fall through them to infinity, and just concepts didn't make any sense anymore. Just the world was falling apart in every way you can imagine it. It's not that this happens outside of you, as I already said, you don't exist, you only exist in what appears, and if this happens to experience, this happens to you. So basically, you fall apart in many million different ways, and not particularly pleasant experience, I would say. And I would always come back from these trances and be back in my normal consciousness for a few minutes or seconds, and would know that it would start again, and it would start again, and this happened over and over again. And then finally at the end I came out of one trance again, but somehow I knew, okay, now it's really over. I wouldn't fall back into it again, and it all felt like a big, huge maze that I had to master and get through, and somehow I know I did it. I was back alive and online, so to speak, in my mind, and I was just so glad. Life was for weeks so beautiful. It was everything just marvelous. Being alive was having seen all this, what's basically on the backside of life, and experiencing that just made everything really beautiful. And yeah, that was the experience, basically. And it had for now, seeing it 4 years later, I could see how it had a great impact on my life. I feel much more free to enjoy life. Because I was before trapped a lot in education, in earning money, having a career and following this path, and only doing things that make sense and have a purpose and so on. And I think actually having had this experience allowed me to quit my job, which I did 1 week ago, and I'm glad I did it, because it was only for the career and for the money, and it wasn't really worth it. It wasn't worth it to me, and not for anyone else. So yeah, this is probably one of the things this trip allowed me to do, or this understanding that I developed since then, through my practices, through reading and meditating, and doing a lot of self-inquiry. And I also accepted basically that I cannot do anything for myself. This ego is the illusion, and basically concept like dying, death, and it's just not going to happen. So you're here for infinity, and it's probably better not to be egoic when that's the case, because we see it today that fucks up a lot of things. So I'm not so sure if since then just my ego has now taken all this into his hands and claims it for his knowledge, or if I'm gained some real insight and knowledge here. But I feel kind of ready to try other psychedelics again, so I will explore more in the future and just see where it goes and where it takes me from from an understanding point of view. Yeah, this video was requested by some of you that I share my experience, and I hope it helped you. If you have further questions, let me know, more specific ones, some things you would like to know, and please also share your experiences, and I hope you liked the video. See you in the next one.